Hi everybody, my name is Yuriana Valdez Herrera, and I'm going to be giving a couple of examples, 5 examples of science in the home. So I wanted to share my first example, which was the candle. So I picked this one as one of my examples for that represents or deals with science, because the candle, when it burns the wax, because of the essential oils, you can start smelling a scent. So that's the one that I picked for my smelling senses. The burning of the little wick will eventually get down to the wax and then release the essential oils into the air, giving the room a good smell. Another example that I used for my science senses, the sense that I'm demonstrating right now would be the sight. So I have a teaspoon of sugar. So let's say if you were mixing a drink or something with a solute. If you can see that the sugar is at the very bottom, but when you stir something, you stir the solute within the solvent, then eventually you'll see the sugar disappear kind of into the solvent. And usually this happens whenever you mix like powder drinks or so of the sort. They'll change the color of the water, but you'll no longer see the sugar or the powder, or in this case what we would call just solute. So that was my example for the senses of sight. Another example of science in the home would be for the sense of touch. So when you are holding something cold like this ice cube, your body releases heat. So your body serves as a thermal a source, and so with the release of heat, then you exhibit a good amount of heat to be able to have objects such as an ice cube melt. Eventually, if the ice cube were to melt all in my hand, then the feeling of the coldness will eventually start feeling kind of hot, kind of like irritating because of the excessive feel of the coldness of the cube. So while your body is working to melt the ice cube on the surface of your skin, it starts feeling pretty cold and then eventually hot. So for my hearing senses example, I decided to use whenever you have somebody trying to turn on a gas stove. So you can hear like the clicking of the starter inside the stove, and it just kind of lets you know that it's gonna start up. So I think it's kind of cool to be able to hear that, and then just have your mind be kind of actively listening for that little ring, that little click, that lets you know. So I just thought it was a good example to do for the home senses of hearing, the home science of senses in hearing. Okay, so another example for the taste sense, as far as science in the home goes, the examples that I was using was to basically lay out different types of condiments, products that can activate your taste buds. So I just took some of the different types of foods, and kind of laid them out here just to kind of, for you guys to kind of see that I picked something kind of sour, acidic, sweet, something that was spicy, and something that was bland. So immediately when I guess the brain focuses on something, on a food, we're kind of like having our taste buds activated. So like I know for the experience that whenever I look at something spicy and stuff, like I feel like I'm producing more saliva because of like, I guess, the taste buds of like the spiciness in my mouth. So I just figured that this was a good example for the taste senses for this portion. Now I'll be talking about the science examples around my neighborhood. So for the sense of hearing, I decided to take the opportunity to step outside on a rainy day where you can actually hear the rain hitting on different parts of my neighborhood. So you can hear them on the trees, you can hear the rain hitting on the concrete. So while you're having to feel the wind and everything, I think the thing that stands out the most is the sense of hearing of the wind against the trees and then the rain against the ground. So this is my example for the sense of hearing in science. Another example of science with the use of senses would be the sense of smell. So I noticed that when I walk by here, I can smell these flowers. The aroma is pretty strong. So as I get closer, they do smell. I can smell them a lot. And so they're pretty fresh, and I know with the rain it gives off a really strong smell, and you can kind of see some of these here that are growing. But yeah, as I walk down by this bush full of flowers, I can almost smell it as before I was getting there. So that's my example for the sense of smell. So another example of the senses of science would be the sense of touch. So as I'm walking around my neighborhood, I'm discovering new things that have a different texture in touch that I can feel. So when I'm looking around and I see different trees with different textures, so they all kind of feel different. Some are smooth, some have larger scales of wood, some have less. So another example of the sense of sight would be just having to walk around my neighborhood and seeing the sunset, so you can see the different shapes and colors of the sky. So if you wanted to just kind of see the view, you can kind of see the red, the orange, so your eyes are able to distinguish the different colors in the sky, and that also has to do with the like the atmosphere too.